guys, it's Dylan here with Fish for You. Today I got a really good video here. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about baby brine shrimp. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what even is baby brine shrimp? Well, brine shrimp is a crustacean in the family Anostraca. I probably butchered that, but pop it up here on screen for you. They're about 450 microns in size when they're first born, so they're really, really easy to feed to your smallest fish. I'd say anything guppy fry sized, maybe even a little bit smaller than that, should be able to eat baby brine shrimp for you. Brine shrimp eggs are going to cost you between $20 and $50, usually, depending on what size container you get. And then whatever you want to hatch them out in, you're gonna need that. Again, I ordered mine off of Amazon. I think it was like $25. All in all, you should be able to get started for about 50 or 60 bucks. One important thing to remember when you're getting your brine shrimp eggs is you don't want to buy too many. Like, I don't want to buy 10 years worth of brine shrimp eggs. I mean, yeah, that sounds great. I'll be able to feed my fish forever, but they do degrade over time. So what I would recommend is stock up for the next 3 months. It says like 1.5 months, but just stock up for the next 3 months. I haven't found any issues with feeding mine towards the end. I would say 90% of the plus hatch rate for sure. If you are having trouble getting some of your fish to breed, like Daniodes, you need to condition them. Brine shrimp is a great way to do that because it's a live food. They're gonna see it. It's a plethora. It's getting fed every day. They're gonna know that, hey, my babies can survive in this condition. Let's go ahead. They're gonna be really happy, and you're gonna see a lot more eggs than you normally do. It is a saltwater organism, right? So if you're feeding it to your freshwater fish, if that baby brine shrimp does have a parasite and your fish eats it, because that parasite survives in saltwater and it's now in freshwater, it's gonna die off. So your fish can't get parasites from eating baby brine shrimp as long as you're feeding to your freshwater fish. It's really, really high in protein, some of the highest fish food in protein that you can feed. So your baby fish are going to grow out really, really fast. So just put this in example. When I would grow out my celestial pearl danios, it would usually take us about 4 months before we were able to, sell them. Now, with baby brine shrimp, it's between 2.5 to 3 months before we can sell them. It drastically improves the grow out time. But when you feed baby brine shrimp, it is a frenzy for your fish. They go crazy at eating every single little last piece of brine shrimp. It's really cool to watch, really fun to watch, which also adds to the experience. I would much rather sit there and watch my fish eat brine shrimp than flake. It's a lot more interactive. You can see them hunting them down. It's really good enjoyment. Unlike flake, brine shrimp will not cloudy your water as quickly. Now, brine shrimp, they're gonna not be able to survive a long time in your tank, but they'll be able to survive a few hours before they die. So you feed your fish, your flake, and then almost immediately it starts to decompose, break down, and create ammonia. But with your baby brine shrimp, as long as they're all eaten within those first few hours, now I like to say about 5 minutes when I'm feeding my fish, but as long as they're eaten within the first 2 hours, they're all still gonna be alive. After those 2 hours, they'll die, they'll go to the bottom. If you have any bottom feeders, they'll eat them. If not, then they'll decompose. So it's gonna be a lot cleaner for your water. How do I do all of this stuff? That's a big question, and instead of explaining that part, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you. So let's go ahead and get into that. In order to start getting our baby brine shrimp cultured, we need our tube or whatever we're gonna culture it in. There's many different types of things we can culture them in. I'm gonna pop them all up here for you. But we're going to need to take this and we're going to need to fill it up with water. Now, it doesn't matter if this water is dechlorinated or not. I actually prefer to use water with a little bit of chlorine in it because it'll help to dissolve the baby brine shrimp shells and you'll get a better hatch rate. If you have chloramines in it, though, you're going to need to get rid of those, but chlorine should be fine for you. When you fill it up, make sure you fill it up about 1 inch from the top, and I'll explain why later. All right, go ahead and fill this up. When you fill it up with water, you don't want your water to be too cold. You want it to be about 78 degrees or as close as you can get it there. But about 1 inch from the top, maybe a little bit more, 1 inch, 1.5 inches. And then we're going to need a few things. We're going to need our aquarium salt. Make sure you use aquarium salt and not table salt. Table salt, I don't exactly know the specifics of it, but it's not going to hatch your baby brine shrimp properly, you need aquarium salt. And then we're gonna need, out of the fridge, we're gonna need our baby brine shrimp eggs, okay? Now you're gonna wanna keep these refrigerated so that they don't hatch prematurely or it doesn't affect the growth of them. Basically, when they're cold, they're gonna be dormant, the metabolism's lower, and they can last longer for you. The company says about a month and a half. I would say 3 to 4 months, and I still haven't seen any effects in hatchery. So we're gonna put the aquarium salt in first. Right here, this is gonna be the equation for how much aquarium salt per water you should do it, so how diluted it should be. For the amount I have here, I've already done that calculations, and it's about 1 tablespoon. It doesn't have to be exact, but about 1 tablespoon. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my tablespoon and just put a scoop of the salt in there. You can see it pretty much sinks down to the bottom. I don't need to go ahead and mix that in because we're gonna put an air stone in here. The air stone's gonna be all the way at the bottom, so that'll get everything mixing for me. All right, the next thing is going to put your baby brine shrimp eggs in. Now these will come with a scoop or your baby brine shrimp eggs. The scoop's gonna look something like this. Depending on how much fish you have or how many fish you have, depends on how many scoops you want to put in. So we have a lot of fish. I put in 2 to 2.5 scoops, but I'm again not gonna mix them in. Just put them right at the top, and when I put the air stone in, that's gonna mix in all the brine shrimp for me. All right, so I got that taken care of. Brine shrimp eggs are gonna go back into the fridge. I order our eggs off of Brine Shrimp Direct just because from what research I've done, it's the best bang for your buck. I'm gonna go ahead and take the bottom of this off, that way we can get it put back in the tank, and I will see you back there. We are back at the tank. I got my tube of baby brine shrimp. The type of brine shrimp hatchery I have, it actually goes inside your fish tank. That way you don't have to put a heater in here or keep your room a certain temperature. Now they do prefer about 78 degrees, maybe even a little warmer sometimes than that. I wouldn't go any colder than about 75 with them. That'll affect your hatch rate. But the reason it goes in the tank is that way the water inside the tank, it's already 78 degrees. Keep this 78 degrees, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that down right inside the tank, and then take my air stone and just plop that right on inside here. And you can see pretty much instantly, it's gonna start mixing it up. And if we come back in a day, then we're gonna have baby brine shrimp. Okay, so now that the baby brine shrimp has been all put in the tube and we've gotten that all taken care of, it's been sitting here for 24 to about 36 hours. It's gonna be time to harvest it. Okay, so if you come in here, you're gonna take a look. The type of baby brine shrimp that I have, it's got this little clip on the side, so all we're gonna do is go ahead and take that off the side and then remove the air stone. All right, if I take this out, you can see it's got baby brine shrimp in it, completely full, but we're gonna need to separate this because this also has eggs inside it. So that's gonna be the next step, and I'll see you when we're there. All right, now that we have the tube of our baby brine shrimp here, you can see it's already starting to separate a little bit, but I have this, just makes it a lot easier. I can put it on the bottom. That way it stands up for me. All right. And then we got our tube of baby brine shrimp here. Now, the brine shrimp are attracted to the light. So in order to separate them from the eggs, you can see some of the eggs are already floating to the top, but we don't want the brine shrimp going to the top. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and turn off the light and separate it for about 5 to 10 minutes. We can even go ahead and take a flashlight and shine it down here to try and draw the baby brine shrimp down to the bottom. So we'll go ahead and do that now. And now that we have our baby brine shrimp all filtered out and sorted, you can see most of the eggs still are inside here, but we do have some eggs in here, and also there's gonna be a lot of poop, things like that. It's not necessary that you filter it, but I don't want any of that bad stuff going into my fish tank, dirtying up my water. I don't want my fish eating the eggs, so we're gonna go ahead and filter it. And in order to do that, you're gonna need a brine shrimp net of some sort. But for now, we can go ahead and just set this aside. In order to start filtering, if you wanna come on up here to the sink and I'll show you. Okay, so in order to start filtering, we're gonna take our brine shrimp net. I like to push it down because it helps it go to the very bottom point and filter through the net faster. Then we're just going to take our stuff in here. You see, if it gets stuck, you just push it down and it'll start filtering through the net a lot faster. Alright, now we have all of our baby brine shrimp in here. The next step is going to be to wash it. So for that, I'm going to take some tap water. This water is just going to go right through it, so it doesn't need to be dechlorinated or anything. It'll be fine. You just take tap water, and then I'm just going to go ahead and rinse that through, just so that I can get any of that detritus or anything bad out of there. Alright, and then our final step to harvesting the baby brine shrimp is going to be taking our first cup again. Actually, I'll put it up here so you can see. And then a second cup of water. This one is going to be filled with either dechlorinated water or tank water. Very important that this one is not have any chlorine in it because it's going to be going into your fish tank. I'm going to take the net in here, turn it upside down, and then just pour all of the baby brine shrimp out of this net. Alright, and you'll be able to see now that the baby brine shrimp inside here is a lot more pure, and there's not as many eggs as before when we just had filtered it. Now that the brine shrimp is all filtered and taken care of and washed, we're gonna get our syringe or a pipette, however you want to feed it, if you just want to pour it. But I like to use a syringe so I get the same amount every time. And we're gonna go ahead and feed everything. Now when I feed it, for a 10 gallon, I'm just gonna do one syringe, and usually you feed this amount, you come back 5 minutes later and it's all gone. If you come back in 5 minutes and they still have food, you know you fed too much, and just feed a little bit less next time. So let's start feeding the tanks. Anyway, guys, I think that's pretty much everything that there is to cover about baby brine shrimp. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. I will see you guys back here next Friday, and flop like a fish.
I'm a flop like a fish. I'm a flop like a fish. Flop on fish. Go ahead and flop on.